Well, welcome everybody. Steve Check, Taylor McGuire here from Empyrion Technologies, where we ask you to entrust us to manage your IT infrastructure so you can work on managing your business. Welcome to the first of our 2022 webinar series, where we plan to discuss various topics to help you make good decisions with your IT and also running your business. If you've missed out on our previous webinars from last year, we do have those recordings available. Just let us know. You can reach out to us. We can provide you links to them, and I believe most of them are on our website. As you know, cybersecurity is a big topic in the news weekly, with reports of companies of all sizes being targeted, with ransomware, phishing attacks, and the like. And I'm sure the events in Russia have also led up to some of that if you've been watching and listening to the news. Numbers from early this year indicate that some cyber attacks have increased by a whopping 55,000%, depending on who you're reading. Super scary number. Not sure if it's realistic or not, but I do know that there's a lot of fresh cyber attacks going on all the time. So we're here today to kind of help you walk through some of those trends, what's going on, and then also some strategies to help mitigate them. As you know, WatchGuard is our choice provider of firewall and security products. And as a gold partner, we're super happy they provided some resources today to help us walk through some of this updated information about the threat landscape, some of the strategies that can be put in place to help you protect your organization. So our agenda today is about a 30-minute presentation. We're going to allow some time for Q&A, and just really encourage you, if you have questions during the presentation, to put up your hand in the chat, and we'll try and answer them live if we can, or for sure at the end. And then we'll have a bit of a prize draw at the end once questions are out of the way. So Taylor, take it away.
Sure, thanks, Steve. So we're joined by Herb and Weil from WatchGuard. We work quite closely with both these individuals to basically scope out solutions, for our clients, and been working with them for a number of years. So really, it's our first webinar with WatchGuard, so we're really excited about it. And we do have some previous webinars, which you can go onto our website. There's a webinars link at the top, and you can see some of the previous ones that we've done last year. And upcoming in March, we also, we're talking about digital security here today, but we're going to be talking about physical security, security cameras, and door access controls, things like that next month with our partner called Verkada. So more information will be emailed out about that here in the next couple of days. So as Steve mentioned, we got a couple of prize draws here. So one $500 Amazon gift card and four $100 gift cards. Wow. And which we'll do at the end of
Taylor,
this.
Can I get in on that? Holy smokes.
Yeah, well, you could try. Yeah. And then, so I'm going to let Weil take it away.
All right, thank you. I'm just going to share my screen here, making sure everyone see it. Right, so thank you for the introduction. And today we're going to have a very interesting topic, which is related to ransomware, why it's everywhere and how we can stop it. So in our agenda today, we're going to take some examples of the top threats on 2021, 2022, and also, the definitions of what's phishing, what's ransomware, some of the terminology that you hear all the time, but we're going to go through how it works as well. And also the rise of double extortion, that sometimes nowadays that you will have multiple attacks that it is, set together at the same time. We're gonna tell you about the solution, how to protect yourself. So we're gonna talk about the power of layered security with total security from WatchGuard, and then why we need to pay attention to HTTPS, which is mainly the encryption that we have whenever that we are browsing anything nowadays. And definitely we will have a couple of minutes at the end for question and answer. So some of the examples here, when it comes to the type of attacks, this is kind of summary or, the top 10 attacks that you could see in 21 and also continuing with 22. Mainly, it's going to be phishing. You have man-in-the-middle attack. Sometimes it's related to the network itself. Somebody want to break the network, or sometimes they just want to use your network to attack another network. We have distributed denial of service attack, or DDoS, that it is related to bringing down your servers, your firewalls. It can be cross-site scripting or password attack, which is, we saw that a lot, last year when it comes, the importance of using multi-factor authentication, as well as when it comes to the ransomware attack, that nowadays it's always starts in a way that it's going to be a phishing attack, that it is going to evolve to something else. And beside that, everything else that's related to bugs, worms, viruses, different type of attacks, that it's using bots to do that. So as when it comes to the services now that it's using bots to have virtual assistants, they also, the bad guys, will use the automation process to attack you. Also, Trojan horses, adware, spyware, or sometimes it's going to be a combination of these different types of attack. So some information here that it's, I think everyone being part of this when it comes to what happened with COVID and how the attackers make use of that. So as you can see in here, when it started the pandemic, that more than 1 in 3 Canadians that received a phishing attack one way or another that's related to that. It's either related to emergency student benefits, or the Canada Recovery benefits, or maybe related to the vaccine. So definitely this is something that always the attacker make use of the situation to kind of social engineer into the attack itself. Also, when it comes to 58% of the Canadian organization, they are subject to cyber attacks were targeted by phishing. This is why we are bringing this phishing and ransomware and how they are related to each other. It's most of the time nowadays it starts with phishing. And when it comes to, there's 45% of the organization were targeted by malware, and then 20% with network scanning, brute force attack, man in the middle, and so on. So the idea is that we still need to scan for the legacy or the older ways of the attacks that relate to network scanning and brute force attack. But at the same time, we need to focus on the zero-day attacks, such as phishing and ransomware. Also, you can see here from the statistics that, there was, in the global headlines, the ransomware that is continued in the colonial pipelines, right, which has brought this issue in the last 2 years. It can hit anywhere. It can be related to the food industry, right, that disrupted the meat production in the States, Canada, and Australia, as well as it can be even IT or even cybersecurity that it's, they could be hit. So you can see in here that related to Acer, that they already paid 40 million to get the access back to their network. And then after that, they told them that we need more because they already have the information. And the attack, the whole thing started with an employee downloading a fake browser update, right? So always we have to keep an eye that everyone is a target. Before it was only larger companies or maybe government, but now everyone is a target. And this information is from Simplicity, which is a website that it is always maintained by WatchGuard security team that's available for you so that you can take a look at the information, statistics about the daily type of attack. For example, when the attacks that is being, stopped by gateway antivirus or sandboxing or our intelligent AV. But the idea is that you see that 91.5% of the malware arrived over encrypted connections. So this is something also to take into account whenever that you are, choosing the firewall, to solve the issue about your security threats. That a lot of these connections now, even if you open Facebook, is HTTPS, right? So you need something that is capable of doing the decryption and the encryption again, and doing the scanning in the middle to be able to handle that. Another take from this, that zero-day attack, it's 61% of the attacks is zero-day attack, which is mainly, it's going to be ransomware, CryptoLocker, advanced malware. It is not a known malware that it is from the database. But we have to keep the balance between the two. We still need to do both of the scans. Now, when it comes to phishing, I was talking about it. There's different types of phishing. There is the mass scale phishing that It's going to be actually casting a wide net of attacks over multiple networks, multiple countries, and this is the most common type of attacks. This, from the name, is phishing. It's just to try to find out who has security vulnerabilities or that they can be actually controlled. Then we have a spear phishing, which is more kind of targeted type of attack that it's using the personal details. And also we have another term that you might see, it's whaling. So this is actually targeting a very important figure or bigger target in the company or the country, like CEO, CFO, or other executives. Now, when it comes to phishing, how it's going to work? Mainly here, it's all start with some users that fail to pay attention. And this is how they attack, by attacking the weakest link in the security chain, which is going to be the users or the end users, as we call them. So we have here that you're going to click on an email, or maybe something that it's related to social media, or something related to an update. So for example, here, you could receive this email that's related to healthcare info by your HR and from your company, and you don't go and take a look at the emails, right? Maybe you don't see the red flags, and you say, okay, I'm going to click on this because now they said, oh, we have to update our healthcare information, otherwise we're going to lose it. So always they will put some kind of consequences of, if you didn't do this, that you're going to have an issue. Or it can be actually something that you receive even from as an RBC Express, or from RBC or any other bank, telling you need this is an authorization code, you have to have authorization certificate to sign in. Even sometimes when you're trying to sign into a web portal, you could actually be phished, or you're going to be a target for a phishing attack. Or even you can have it on your phone. So it can be through SMS as well. So you can see here that, okay, the emergency response benefit for Canada Relief Fund, you have sent you this amount of money, click here, right? Even though sometimes for people that they are not part of this, you just, okay, they sent me money and it's to my phone, most probably it is secure, let me click that, right? And sometimes it will send you to another URL, and it can infect the phone, and sometimes it can tell you, okay, you have to go open this one on your laptop to be able to scan something, right? So the first step is one of these examples. Then definitely it's going to target an exploit within the system itself, your servers, your devices, your laptops, PCs, and they install something called RAT, right? Which is mainly, it's going to be remote access Trojan. It is there to get control of your device. And once that they are in, they actually, some of these type of attack, it takes months. So once that they get the control, they might gather information. They might just be dormant for some time until that it's being used for some other type of attack. Maybe they will continue from phishing attack, and after installing the RAT, to go to ransomware, that they will say, okay, we encrypted your information. All right. So this is the life cycle when it comes to this type of attack. Now, what about ransomware? So ransomware, usually it comes after phishing attack, or it can come by itself from the beginning through a malicious email attachment, maybe an infected pen drive, or a malicious website that you're going to access. Once that you're being infected, definitely they will encrypt your device or hard drive. Sometimes they just partially encrypt, and they just want to show you, that we are able to encrypt your information. They ask you for the money, and now they're using Bitcoins for that, right? Now, the last one that I want to talk about in here is actually a combination of, we have phishing attack, maybe it will lead you to ransomware, but we have also something called double extortion, that it is related to these ransomware gangs, that they will do this. And they will actually, before they encrypt, once that they infect your computer or network, they will take a copy of the data first. And then they will encrypt your devices. And then they will ask you, okay, if you want to decrypt, then pay us money first. And after that, they will tell you, okay, now we decrypt it, but you have to pay us again because we're going to leak the information. So it is 2-in-1 type of attack. They want to make more money out of you, right? But why this is happening? Because a lot of the partners and the clients, in the last 2 years, because of ransomware, they said, what about that? We will invest in a backup. Right, we have a data backup that it will take a copy of this, devices or our network configuration and so on. So if in case there is a ransomware, we just revert back. So this is why the attackers, they said, okay, now we also gonna take a copy of the data. You paid or not, you're gonna pay us. Once that we gonna send you that, we're gonna leak your information or data. Right, so these are the different type of attack. What's the solution now? The solution is always trust in a layered security. The usual way that as before that you're gonna have a router or a specific firewall that is just doing access list, or that you have one component, it doesn't work anymore. You have to take into account both zero-day attacks and the traditional type of attacks. So as you can see in here, we have total security in our firewalls that is going to cover the traditional portion of it that's related to stateful firewall, VPN, SD-WAN, but also it will cover all the type of database or signature-based security, like intrusion prevention, application control. Like, for example, if you want to control, Facebook or what you download from Facebook, web blocker, if you want to block depending on the domain, spam blocker, gateway antivirus, this is all covered. This is the traditional way of attacks. But also it covers everything that it's related to zero-day attacks, right? So like sandboxing, threat detection, DNS watch, and so on. And I'm going to go a little bit further in here and these details, which is, for example, when I talk about advanced persistent threat blocker, it is sandboxing. So whenever that I do the traditional checks and the gateway antivirus did the check, but it didn't have a conclusive answer. So in this scenario, it will actually do the sandboxing. So whenever that I have the file here, the firewall will take a look at it and say, hey, did I see this one before or not? It will check the local cache. If it is not, it will go to the remote cache, which is our network, WatchGuard network. Say, did anyone in WatchGuard network see this type of attack? If we already have it and we know how to deal with it, then actually we just send you the signature update and the action is going to be taken immediately. The only time that the file is going to be uploaded to our sandbox environment, it's the time that we never seen it before and nobody in WatchGuard network that's been seen this one before. And we will execute it in our virtual environment, find out if it is legitimate or not, if there is vulnerability or not. And we're going to update the database after this. So the second time you see this type of attack within this file, it will not upload it again. So this is called sandboxing and it's part of total security. Now, the other thing that it is there as well, it's related to DNS watch, which is one of the things that we can use for stopping phishing attack, right? So whenever that we click on something in our Outlook or the email, we don't pay attention to the flags like spelling mistakes, grammar errors, fake email signatures, that it's coming from fake domain, all of that. So as I said, most of the ransomware, it's come through the phishing nowadays, and we want to stop that. So the DNS resolution is going to happen first. This information is going to be sent to our cloud, and it will check, is this domain that sent this email, is it actually blacklisted or not? And intelligent antivirus. So we have a normal antivirus that it is doing the check from database, but the intelligent antivirus, it's actually a machine learning or AI powered. And in this scenario, it has algorithm to find out if there's any type of zero-day attacks. And the last component here, it's called threat detection and response. So after we took care of the gateway security portion and the layered security, there is a portion that's related to the endpoint, which is threat detection and response. We need some kind of correlation that is going to happen between the endpoints and also the firewall. And even we going further now that we have WatchGuard Cloud, that we will have, the threat sync that is going to work at the back end to do all the root cause analysis between the different components that you have from WatchGuard. Because now that's the point. The attackers will try to find what's the weakest point in your network, right? Is it the firewall? Is it the endpoint? Is it in your firewall itself? There is something that it's open or it's not updated, and so on. Right. So the last thing that I wanted to point out in here is the importance of HTTPS decryption. If you remember earlier from the information that we talked about, there is 95% of the attacks that or the traffic itself, it comes as encrypted. Maybe a couple of years ago, whenever that you receive anything, on Facebook or social media, it's decrypted. It's HTTP, but now it's HTTPS, and that. It's a very important thing that the firewall can be capable of handling the decryption of the traffic that is coming, let's say from Facebook, scan it, apply all the layered security on it, and then encrypt it again before sending it to the destination. And this is why we released, last year, a new series of firewalls that it has much more power when it comes to the CPU and RAM to be able to do the decryption. So as you can see in here, we used to have the M370. Now it is the M390, which can handle a higher number of users, higher throughput when it comes to the full scan of unified threat management, as well as the HTTPS full scan. So this is the metric that we are looking at whenever that we are talking about security. And we made it in a way like this M390, that's the level that if you have, and a lot of companies nowadays that the internet's cheaper and you can get from Bell, Rogers, TELUS, whatever that provider that you are using, you can get 1 gig internet connection, and you need a firewall that is capable of handling that type of traffic while it can decrypt, do the scanning, and encrypt it again. And the last thing here is related to the management options. So definitely the firewall can be managed through Web UI. It can be managed through WSM, which is actually a software that you can install in your laptop. And also we have centralized management, that's a software that you can install in a Windows server that you can do centralized management. You can create templates and apply them to multiple firewalls at the same time. And definitely for the last year now, we have cloud management. That it is included for free whenever that it is you are managing your firewall. Just you have to decide from the beginning which way that you want to go. And when it comes to the logging and reporting, we have Dimension Server, which is on premises in case if you need to keep the information for auditing for more than 1 year, or included with the total security, you have 30 days of cloud visibility. So in this scenario, you don't need to install any kind of server locally. You just point it to our cloud and it will collect the information within 30 days, and then you can generate the report as needed. Okay, so that was the presentation. Just the takeaway from here that related to the security, layered security is the very important, and to have a firewall that handle HTTPS.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, thank you, Whale. I appreciate you going through that pretty quick. And then again, understanding that some folks may not be really technical and just wondering what questions people have in regards to security in general, some of the ideas around ransomware, phishing, etc. Open floor for questions. Happy to answer them. Carlo has a hand raised there.
Go ahead, Carlo. Oh, your mic is muted.
I'm unmuted. Okay, can you hear me now?
You bet.
Yep.
Okay, you mentioned that ransomware is typically introduced one of 3 ways, either through phishing or through an external drive or through a website. In order of most likely, which one of these is most likely to introduce ransomware, and kind of Do you have any percentages on that?
Well, not exactly, but through simplicity, the information that we collected from WatchGuard firewall, most of the time it's going to be through websites, right, or social media or email that you're going to receive. We see less and less that it is through, USB stick that is going to be used. So mainly it's going to be through social media or an email that's sent to you.
Email cast a wide net, so they'll send it out to hundreds of thousands, and they only need one happy clicker to click on it.
Okay.
Yeah, phishing is generally the most common that I think we've seen for people to, basically they might not get ransomware from it, but they might get like an Office 365 account, compromised because they weren't secured with 2FA, and then they gave their credentials through the phishing attack. So phishing, for those that don't know, is basically just some kind of form or link basically that takes you to a form where you can fill out, and it looks real, looks completely legitimate, but you put in your username and password or some other piece of confidential information, and these attackers basically collect that information and use it against you, right? So it's really important to start putting security controls in place, like the WatchGuard. We talked about layered security. You need things like two-factor authentication on all of your accounts to help protect you from attackers that way as well. One of the things I just wanted to point out is on one of the slides that Weil had shown earlier, there was a list of items that the WatchGuard actually will take care of for you as part of the security services. And if you actually look at any of the cyber insurance application forms that come from CFC or Coalition, a couple other companies out there, there's actually usually a page dedicated to just a lot of different items and different terms and things that they're looking for in your environment. WatchGuard will actually check off basically a number of those things that the cyber insurance company is looking for. So, obviously they have to be set up and configured, but things like application whitelisting or certain types of monitoring, DNS filtering, etc. The WatchGuard platform will allow you to kind of tick off some of those boxes on the insurance application, which should help you, qualify for insurance or maybe even get a lower rate or whatever. And cyber insurance rates are going up at a drastic rate right now. We're seeing like between 100 and 300% increases in some cases for some people. So it's really important that if you want to get proper coverage, to make sure that you've kind of got some of these different items ticked on that form.
They're also limited in the payout now too. Before, there was a pretty high threshold. Now they're saying they'll insure you for X.
Yeah. So we're Empyrion is actively working with different insurance companies to try and find ways to ensure that our clients are meeting those standards. And so we're talking to them all the time just to make sure that we can try and help you with that process as best as possible. Any other questions or?
Well, if I might just add something to that conversation, we talk about a lot of the threats coming through phishing attacks, social media, fake emails, things like that. And, for those on the call here, one of the best ways to mitigate that is by doing active phish threat training, cybersecurity training for your employees. And that's definitely another strategy to, kind of eliminate what might be the lowest hanging fruit, which typically ends up being somebody that is either uneducated on cyber, what a cyber attack looks like, and or just click happy, right? So a lot of those type of training are quite cost effective, and I think well worth considering.
Well, if there's no other questions, I think we could probably wrap it up. Really appreciate your time there, Weil and Herb. And we will be doing a prize draw after this. An email will go out to all the attendees just kind of letting you know who won, and we'll also be putting up a copy of this recording, and we'll link to that as well. So, all right, thanks everybody.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank
Have a
you.
great one. Thanks, WatchGuard.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
See ya.